The reason why not having a joint account has worked is because we don't have secrets.
Talking about how wise in men, okay, women go to church and men are not there. You just check when Christianity came to Africa and check when Christianity came to Nigeria, right?
What value do you give to family prayer? If you value family prayer, then you will pray.
Hello and welcome. This is Safe House with Hetty, and I'm Hetty, your host. Today on the show, we're talking about DNA tests and the family. The craze for families in Nigeria to relocate abroad, especially to Canada, has driven a lot of families to do the DNA test as part of the requirements to avoid child trafficking and other very cogent reasons. But as usual in our world today, whatever is meant for good usually ends up being used for evil. And as expected, there will be negative consequences. DNA tests are not left out. Marriages are breaking up because of DNA tests, and people are dying of heartbreak, betrayal, and heart attacks. What is the full meaning of the acronym DNA? Why are people carrying out the tests even when they are not relocating abroad? How correct and reliable are those results? These are more questions to be answered by our guests today. Today we have two great guests. One is a learned woman, the other one is a medical doctor. Learned, only lawyers believe that they are learned. The rest of us will not go to school. So we have a medical doctor with over 10 years experience. He's currently working with one of the HMOs, Health Maintenance Organization. He is a Catholic, married with lovely children. Meet Dr. Nnamdi Ifediata.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much for coming. You know you've been here before.
Yes, this is my second time on the show.
You're welcome, my
thank
brother.
you very much.
We have also a learned woman, like I usually like to call them. She is Barrister Ogochukwu Ezugu. She is a principal counsel at McNancy Solicitors and Advocates. She's a legal practitioner, mediator, and marriage counselor. That's the part I like most. That she's a marriage counselor. She's Catholic and she's been married. She is also a human rights activist. Meet Ogochukwu Ezugu. Madam,
thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And you've been here before too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So today we're talking about DNA tests. Doctor, DNA is a medical thing.
Yep.
So please tell us, what is the meaning of the word or acronym DNA?
Okay, there are actually two molecules in the body that have that contain genetic code, basically. A human's genetic code. There's the DNA and the RNA. So that's the deoxyribonucleic acid. You see, I had to pick it gently because
Again, please.
deoxyribonucleic acid. That's DNA.
Okay.
Then there is the ribonucleic acid. That's the RNA. But the reason why the focus is always on the DNA is that the DNA actually contains the unique genetic code for humans. In fact, it's actually the I'm trying to look for the word, but it's actually the cell material of the genes, the so-called the hereditary, anything about transmission from father to mother, that hereditary traits is actually the cell that holds it. In fact, it contains information as to growth, reproduction, development. That's why the focus is always on the DNA. But everybody should know that there are actually two of them.
Okay,
there's the DNA and the RNA.
Yes. For the purpose of this discussion, we'll focus
on the DNA. And I just made them know the reason why the focus is on the DNA.
Thank you. Now, DNA. I want to find out, this is just by the wayside because I like to always know things, opportunity to learn is important.
Yeah.
Is it true that the paternity of a child can always be traced through the DNA?
Yes.
What about the maternity?
Simply put, the reason why it's more of always the paternity is this. the females biologically is always, I'm not too clear, but the chromosomes for human being is 46 X or XY. Now, the women always have one of the values. So, when there's this issue, men go to scream at their wives and say, oh, I meet with you, and every time you give me female children or so. The determinant for a child, male or female, is actually always from the man. So the man usually has the 23X or Y.
Okay.
So it's therefore you can now juxtapose, you can deduct and say, oh, anytime that kind of issue wants to be done, it's always the man that they will look at. Because for the woman, it's more like contributory.
Okay.
She just brings one part. The man determines, and then the woman hosts. The woman carries for the 9 months and then gives birth.
I want to ask a question. If a child gets lost,
Okay.
at birth, is there any way to trace the child back to the mother? I know the DNA for paternity test, you can easily get the father, but is there any way to trace the child back to the mother medically?
There should be.
Stop.
Okay.
You said there should be.
There should be.
And you are a medical doctor.
Yes.
And you don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love
for
that.
Sure.
You know why I ask this question? Because you see, trying to find out the maternity of a child, it's awesome because I always look at Jesus Christ. Mother Mary gave birth to Jesus Christ, but then the father is God. The woman is just the woman is just a replicating machine. So what is in that child is actually the father replicating himself. You understand? So thank you very much. That's what I wanted to pick up. We'll go back there some other time. Now, doctor or barrister, why do couples do DNA test?
Okay, one of the reasons why couples do DNA test is to determine the paternity of a child. According to the case of Ukeje versus Ukeje, is a Supreme Court decision. It was decided that the determination of the paternity of a child is either by acknowledgement or by DNA.
By acknowledgement?
Yes.
Please stop there. By acknowledgement?
Yes.
So a father can say, this is my child, and that suffices.
And that's all. Whether there is DNA or not. I love that.
So if a woman within marriage, mistakenly, more people make mistakes.
Yes.
Mistakenly gets pregnant for somebody else. And the husband says, this is my child.
Yes.
That settles it.
That settles it.
Wow.
Whether there's DNA or not.
no
It's
DNA.
only when the man is not willing. When the man is not willing to accept the child. Yes. It's a Supreme Court decision. It's only when the man is not willing to accept the child that they can go for DNA. When the paternity is an issue. When you are saying, leave my house, you are a bastard, you are not supposed to be my child. And under Section 63 sub 1 sub A of the Child Rights Act again, when the paternity of a child is an issue, a party can apply for a court. Apply to a court for a DNA too. So it is something that is acceptable in law.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Now, doctor, what can go wrong in that procedure?
The DNA test.
DNA test.
Basically, DNA tests are usually 99.9% accurate.
In Nigeria?
Anywhere.
In Nigeria?
Anywhere. I would let you know if one or two things can go wrong.
Okay.
But basically, DNA tests are usually 99.9% accurate. And the only reason why I didn't say 100% is you don't just ascribe to life 100%. So that tells you the degree of accuracy. But the problem is that it has happened that what we call paternity fraud is actually not paternity fraud per se. If you know what paternity fraud is a situation where there is a deliberate or willful dislodging or tampering with the process of that DNA certification. Let me give you an example. A man does not like the wife, or something must have happened and the man hates this wife so bad, says, okay, I want to do a DNA test. And then when they say, bring your sample, that is the man, bring your sample. The man goes and collects another man's sample and submits. You understand? You understand?
Yes.
So that can lead to an error. It's not like the test, doing the test itself has a problem. It's just that the sample submitted was the wrong sample.
Thank you, doctor. Let me cut you there.
Okay.
Now, what are those samples used for DNA test?
Now that is it. It's you can use any part of the body. You can use hair, fingernails, skin snip, blood, spit. Yes, you can use spit. Yes.
Now, in such situations, is it not better there and then? You bring your sample, I bring my sample, and then we do this test. Why will you go and bring this test?
The reason why it's not done like this is that when she was given the reasons why DNA test is done, you also mentioned when you said immigration and so on. So the reason why it's not done is that most times what the DNA test is done for is actually to confirm distrust, to confirm something that will lead to division. It's not done because it's a normal thing to do. It's not done because it's a required thing. It's always, there must be conflict.
Mischief.
Yes, there must be conflict for that to happen. God. So you see, most times the men don't even tell their wives, I want to do it. So they just take the sample themselves and then they go. So most times, most women get to know that these tests were done when, one, if it's negative, then the man has the wherewithal to come and now do the bombarding, or maybe by chance the woman stumbles on it or something. Because most times if it's positive, the man will hide it. He will not go and say, oh, I did DNA test, that kind of stuff.
Right, so that's when it's not required by the immigration.
Yes, when it's not required by immigration.
Wow. Madam, I want to ask you a very personal question. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
If your husband wakes up one morning and tells you, I want to do DNA test for my children, how will you feel?
No, I won't feel bad because I know I don't have a skeleton in my cupboard. Okay. No, I won't feel bad.
So you just, okay, let's do it.
Yes, but the outcome is a problem. For some people, because in some cases you will see that after the DNA and the man notices that the children are not his own, he may come back and tell them to pack and go and meet their father. And under the Child Rights Act, you don't have any right whatsoever to bastardize a child.
Thank you so much, madam. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about this. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The family is the heartbeat of the world. It is made up of the husband, wife, and children. The society, in turn, is made up of families. Countries are made up of societies, while the world is made up of countries. Little wonder someone has said, if you destroy the family, you destroy the society.
The Bible says, if a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, and the Lord grants him favor.
Welcome back. This is Safe House with Hetty, and I'm Hetty, your host. We're talking about DNA tests and the family. Please be with us. Now, I want you to continue with your explanation.
Yes, you don't actually have the right to bastardize any child under your care because even if you're not the biological father of the child, it's not the fault of the child that he or she sees his or herself in your family.
Beautiful, so, madam. You are talking legally.
Yes.
Somebody has no right to bastardize a child. What does it mean to bastardize a child?
By telling a child you are a bastard, you don't have a father, I'm not your father. Yes, you don't have the right. The child is under your care, and under the Child Rights Act, you are supposed to protect the child. Yes.
Even when the child is not your own. When you realize that your wife committed adultery and brought a child for you, you still protect the child. What will the man feel like? What do you mean?
It's not the fault. It's not the fault of the child.
Even if it's not the fault of the child, I'm angry.
If you're angry, I don't know what to. You can do whatever. It's the fault of the wife or whoever. But my interest here
As a legal practitioner.
Is the baby in question.
So
You cannot bastardize the child in the marriage.
You cannot bastardize the child because you are not the father.
Yes.
You have no rights.
After all, people go for adoption.
The child.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I love that. Now, in a situation where, Doctor, I'm asking you now, in a situation where a woman is married to a man and it's obvious they cannot have a child, perhaps the man is impotent or one thing or the other, and she, out of being a good woman, goes to bring a child from somewhere, you know, it is like going to have sex with somebody else and bringing a pregnancy to the home. They welcome the child, they were all happy, celebrating, child. All of a sudden, something happens. Maybe the child falls ill, and the father and mother, maybe both of them are genotype AAA, and this child is a sickler, for instance. What will you do? What should they do?
Basically, normally I don't advise. I've had an experience where a woman came to me in my clinic then, some 4 years ago, and she has this issue about knowing fully well that the man had both libido issues and infertility.
Please explain.
Yes, because people usually ascribe libido to infertility. There are two different things.
Okay.
A man could be okay in bed. That's libido.
Okay.
That means the man could be able to do the performing thing and so on and so forth. But then the man would ejaculate, and what you see as what everybody calls sperm is actually not sperm. What they see is semen. The sperm is not visible to the eye. Okay. So when the man ejaculates the semen, there's nothing inside. So which is only seen on the microscope or something like that. So most men, when you tell them they have issues with, they will tell you, in as much as I can perform. So now in this situation, the woman knows fully well, she knows fully well that the man could not perform, and at the same time they've run investigations and they found out that there is no sperm. So she comes up to me and says she's been advised to try and get a child from, and look, the truth is that's not advisable. Because somehow our culture still has this weight, despite the fact that, according to my legal person here, despite the fact that she's bringing us some Supreme Court things and so on. But when you go far from the clutches of, in quotes, the center, the federal government and so on, you get to villages and you realize that, look, once they say you are a bastard child or this person is not your father, it gets to that point, everybody disowns you. So it's usually not advisable. I would advise that if this is known, husband and wife is known, then the first thing that will be done is you either walk the walk. So okay, let's try to correct this situation. Most times for men, it's usually not irreversible. You understand? Most times,
for men, it is reversible.
It's usually not irreversible. It's reversible, yes. It's reversible, yes.
Okay.
Then, if you can't walk the walk, do an adoption. It's better.
Legally.
It's better. If you do it legally, it's safer. It even gives you that. But most times, because our culture kind of still has that weight, a lot of men will want it to be said that it is me that gave birth to, this is my child, kind of thing like that.
Madam, how is infertility today? I mean, legally, would we have a lot of issues on infertility in the country right now?
Yes, we actually do.
Infidelity. Yeah.
Yes, we have a lot of infidelity cases in the society today. And the causes is, I may say, lack of compatibility. There are so many causes of infidelity today. Lack of understanding, even the issue of libido. Again, I'm not a medical practitioner, but you find out that some women have higher libido than men, and in the absence of sexual satisfaction, some women can go out to satisfy themselves. Though on the moral aspect of it, it is forbidden. Even legally, adultery is even a ground for divorce. It is not even good at all, both legally and morally.
Thank you very much. I actually read a research once, and I saw that about 50% of first children do not belong to the couple. That was the research I saw, and I was overwhelmed.
In fact, let me even add to your research. These condom makers, Durex, they did a research. They did put up this questionnaire. women in Africa, country by country, Africa and some countries in Asia. They found out that the promiscuous rate of women in Nigeria was number one in the world between Africa and some part of Asia. 62%.
Of women
Yes.
are promiscuous.
In
Okay,
62%.
women, were they classified?
They
Married,
were not.
single,
They just
or-
said women 62%, and then Thailand was 52%. Then issues of paternity fraud, and so on. Nigeria came second to Jamaica, 30%. So it means that in every 10 men, 3 would not be fathers of their children.
Oh my God.
You understand?
That's a disaster.
It begs the question why this happens. So if the question is if there is infidelity, there is infidelity.
So why
it's
would
rife.
50% of first children not belong to the fathers?
I think
Why? Because it's a specific research.
medically, from the medical aspect, when you put pressure on a woman. In fact, I worked with one of my mentors. I worked with him in Lokoja for some time, and he was so apt then. He would tell you that a woman can determine if he sleeps with 3 different men. She will tell you the exact person that is responsible for the pregnancy.
I don't think so.
In fact,
Madam, is it true?
Yeah,
Yes.
she can.
In fact, if a woman is faithful to a particular man and has intercourse 6 times, she will tell you the particular intercourse that led to the pregnancy. That's how hardwired women are. So the truth is, I would not say I don't know why. I actually don't know why it's that bad or is that right that it happens the way it happens. But that is it basically. It does happen.
Jesus, this is a disaster. This is a disaster. Madam, legally, when you realize that your children are not yours and you are broken-hearted, you say you cannot abandon those children, cannot bastardize them. So what about the wife? What will you do about the woman?
It's a personal thing, it's a personal decision, because as I made mention earlier, adultery is a ground for dissolution of marriage. You can go for dissolution of the marriage if you want, but you can forgive your wife at the same time. It's a personal decision, but you don't have any right to drive the children out of your house. That is my main interest, because they are children and they have some rights under the Child Rights Act. They are supposed to be protected by you, because the marriage in question is not, the relationship is not just an illegitimate relationship. There was a marriage and the children came naturally. It's not their fault. They don't know where they were coming to or who is going to be their father.
Not their fault. They don't know where they were coming to.
Yes.
I like that. It's not their fault.
Yes.
They don't know where they were coming to.
So you don't have
just
to
made
suffer
themselves
them
there.
because of the
No.
mistake between
Oh
you
my God.
and your wife.
Now, thank you so much. Doctor, give us advice. Couples of nowadays. Because 50% of first children do not belong to their fathers. Advise us, please. Let our viewers learn something about this.
Okay, basically, for me, I would advise, if you're dating with the view to marriage, you should spend more time getting to know yourselves, define boundaries, discuss, talk about it. Ask yourself what are the things that if somebody crosses a particular line, it becomes something bad to you and so on and so forth. Secondly, the idea of premarital sex is dicey. Some cultures would want a situation where the woman gets pregnant prior to getting married. Some cultures do advise that. I don't advise that, because when you put that pressure, we have instances where, in fact, it happened last week. I think it was on social media. This boy tweeted and said, he called the girl's name. I know you have gone home to get married. And then the girl replies on Twitter and says, keep quiet. I just did my traditional wedding. I don't want my marriage to.
Great.
They were dating somewhere in the southwest, and the girl has gone to the southeast to go and get married.
Oh
So
my
that's probably maybe she would have been one of the people where they say get pregnant before you. So the idea of premarital sex should be discouraged, and the idea of making people get pregnant before marriage should be discouraged.
Thank
Go
you.
into
Thank you.
marriage, discuss, and then.
Thank you so much. Wonderful guest. Thank you. And thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll be talking about DNA tests and families. So we have learned that Children cannot be bastardized. Whether they are your biological children or not, you have no right to bastardize them. 2, we have also learned that during courtship, sex is not the issue. Discuss, learn to know yourselves so that your marriage will be blissful. My guests have been Dr. Ifediata and Barrister Ogochukwu. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting us.
See you same time next week. God bless you.